Hello, I'm Bert Bronius. This presentation is entitled Jean Piaget, Understanding Cognitive Development. Jean Piaget was a Swiss psychologist and pioneer in the areas of cognitive theory and child development, even though his doctorate was in zoology. He is most well known for his stage theory on human development, described in his book, The Psychology of Intelligence. This presentation will give an overview of the 4 stages of cognitive development and selected key concepts that are related to these stages. Children progress through distinct stages of cognitive or intellectual development. These are organized hierarchically, and completing a lower level stage is necessary for progression to the next stage. The stages are sensory motor, pre-operational, concrete operational, and formal operational. In this presentation, each stage is briefly described. Keywords are identified as they relate to the 4 stages, and these include schema, assimilation and accommodation, equilibrium, and constructivism. Terms uniquely associated with specific stages include object permanence, conservation, reversibility, and egocentrism. The sensory motor stage. From birth to around 2 years old, infants learn by exploring the world through their senses and motor actions. Infants begin to realize that objects exist even if they are not directly perceived. This is referred to as object permanence. Pre-operational stage. During ages 2 through 7, children develop symbolic thinking, language skills, and begin to demonstrate pretend play and imagination. Logical thinking remains limited, and it is difficult for the child to see reality from the perspective of others. Concrete operational stage. During ages 7 through 11, logical reasoning emerges, and children can understand conservation and reversibility. See the explanation in one of the following slides. They begin being able to grasp complex cognitive concepts. Formal operational stage. From ages 11 years and beyond, abstract thinking and hypothetical reasoning develop. Children can understand complex concepts, think logically, and participate in inductive and deductive reasoning. During this stage, a transition is made into developing adult cognitive abilities. Following are selected terms related to the stages of cognitive development. There are many others. The terms described here are among the ones most frequently used in or about Piaget's writings. Schema. The plural for this is schemata or schemas. This is a term popularized by Piaget to describe the mental structures or categories of knowledge that shape, organize, and interpret thoughts and interactions. For example, a young child may have a schema for cat that includes being furry, having 4 legs and a tail. The schema is constantly being revised as the child assimilates and accommodates new information about cats. Assimilation and accommodation. Piaget pointed out how children adapt to new information. Assimilation involves taking new experiences into existing mental structures. Accommodation, then, is the modification of these structures to reconstruct the schema so that it includes the newly acquired knowledge. For example, a child with little exposure to dogs but living in a house with cats may refer to dogs as cats until enough information is assimilated to create a schema, or we could also say a category or a file folder, a schema for dogs. Equilibrium. This refers to the urge to achieve a balance between schemas and experiences through assimilation and accommodation. A child who only knows cats will become disequilibrated upon discovering dogs. The differences and similarities drive the child to distinguish between the two, thereby creating a revised understanding of cats and a new schema for dogs. Object permanence. Infants in the sensory motor stage grow to understand that objects continue to exist even when they are out of sight. This concept can be seen when playing peekaboo with a young child. By hiding our faces behind our hands, the child actually thinks that we are no longer present and is surprised when we take away our hands and we reappear. Egocentrism. Young children have difficulty seeing things from the perspective of others. They understand the world in terms of themselves and their own needs. A favorite quote illustrating egocentrism is from Winnie the Pooh, and it is, "The only reason for being a bee is to make honey, and the only reason for making honey is so that I can eat it," says Pooh. Conservation and reversibility. Children in the concrete operational stage learn that certain properties, like number, volume, and mass, remain constant despite changes in appearance. A classic experience that is used to illustrate this is to have two groups of marbles side by side, with one group tightly organized and the other loosely grouped. A child in the early concrete operational stage will say that there are more marbles in the loosely organized group. However, when at the age of 7 or 8 the child can reason, that both groups are of the same volume, and the child has achieved reversibility. Constructivism. This is the idea that individuals are active in creating their own understanding of the world through their experiences and interaction. Piaget emphasized the importance of hand-on experiential learning because it allows children to engage with and build upon their existing knowledge. Examples of constructivist teaching methods that are consistent with Piaget's theories are typically related to play and discovery learning, and these include problem-solving activities, simulation games and role-playing, and cooperative learning activities. Well, this has been a brief survey of the educational contributions of Swiss psychologist Jean Piaget. This has included his proposed 4 stages of cognitive development: sensory motor, pre-operational, concrete operational, and formal operational, and these stages highlight how children's thinking develops as they experience the world. Key concepts include schema, assimilation and accommodation, and children strive for equilibrium during these processes. Object permanence, conservation, and reversibility and egocentrism are terms associated with specific stages. Constructivism aligns with Piaget's ideas and is a valuable framework for planning participatory discovery learning activities. Finally, here are some selected resources if you choose to probe into Piaget more deeply, and a reminder that his most commonly referred to book is The Psychology of Intelligence, that first major work. I hope you've enjoyed this presentation and that it has stimulated your understanding and application of how we think and how our thinking develops over the years. Be blessed in your teaching experiences.